Eala walks onto the court for the biggest match of her life. This is a Grand Slam qualifying final. Win this match and she's in the main draw. Win this and she's on the same stage as the champions she grew up idolizing, the players whose posters covered her childhood bedroom walls. Win this and years of brutal sacrifice, the loneliness, the injuries, the doubt, all of it finally pays off in one glorious moment of validation. She's nervous but ready. Her hands tremble slightly as she adjusts her strings, but that's normal. She's prepared for this moment. She's drilled the game plan 1,000 times. She knows exactly what she needs to do. Or so she thought. She reaches the baseline, bounces on her toes to release the tension, takes a deep breath to center herself, and glances up at the coaching box. That small section of seats where her coach always sits. The man who's been in her corner for 3 years, the one who believed in her when nobody else did, when sponsors ignored her emails and tournament directors barely knew her name. The father figure who guided her through the darkest moments of her career, the injuries that threatened to end everything, the losses that made her question if she was good enough. She looks up expecting to see his familiar face, weathered and kind, expecting his encouraging nod, that small gesture that always steadied her nerves, expecting his presence, the simple comfort of knowing someone was in her corner. But the chair is empty. He's not there. She scans the area, confusion flooding her system. Maybe he's late. Maybe he's in the bathroom. Maybe he's getting coffee and lost track of time. But something feels wrong. Very, very wrong. Because her coach doesn't miss matches. Ever. In 3 years of working together, he's never been late, never missed a single match, not even practice sessions. And he definitely, absolutely wouldn't miss this one. The most important match of her young career, the match they've been building toward together for 3 years. She checks her phone one more time before handing it to the tournament official, her last chance to see if there's a message, an explanation, something. Still nothing. No message. No missed call. No explanation. Just silence. Cold, confusing, terrifying silence. And then the chair umpire calls time. The match is starting. Her opponent is ready. The crowd is settling. The moment is here. And Alex is completely, devastatingly alone. He quit the night before without a word, without warning, without any explanation. And what happened next, and why he did it, will make you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty in professional sports. 3 years earlier, Alex met Coach Marco at a training academy in Spain. She was 16 years old, ranked outside the top 300 in the world, struggling to find her identity as a player. She had talent, everyone could see that, but talent alone doesn't translate to professional success. She needed guidance, structure, belief. She needed someone who saw not just what she was, but what she could become. Marco was a veteran coach, not famous like the coaches you see with Grand Slam champions. Not flashy, not connected to the elite circles of tennis. But he was experienced, deeply knowledgeable about the game, and most importantly, he saw something special in her. After watching her practice for a week, studying her movement patterns, her shot selection, her mental approach, he approached her with an offer that would change both their lives. "I want to work with you," he told her directly. "No games, no negotiation tactics. I think you can be top 50, maybe higher, but it's going to take work. Real work. Years of it. Are you ready for that?" Alex, desperate for guidance and starving for someone to believe in her potential, said yes immediately. She didn't negotiate terms. She didn't shop around for other coaches. She just said yes because finally, someone saw her. They started working together, and the relationship quickly became the foundation of her tennis life. Long days on the court under the Spanish sun, hitting thousands of balls, making technical adjustments to her serve, developing tactical understanding of different playing styles. But more than the tennis, more than the drills and the match strategies, Marco provided something Alex desperately needed: stability and unwavering belief. He told her she was good enough when she doubted herself after crushing losses. He pushed her when she wanted to quit after a series of first-round defeats that made her question if professional tennis was even possible. He celebrated her wins no matter how small and analyzed her losses without judgment or disappointment, always finding the lesson, always pointing toward improvement. He became more than a coach. He became a mentor, a surrogate father figure in a foreign country thousands of miles from her family. Someone she trusted completely with, not just her tennis career, but her emotional well-being. The relationship wasn't always easy. There were tough conversations. Marco was demanding in ways that pushed Alex beyond her comfort zone. He expected excellence and didn't accept excuses when she fell short, but he was always there. Every tournament, whether it was a prestigious event or a small challenger in a town nobody had heard of. Every practice session, even when she was injured and could barely hit. Every moment, good and bad, Marco was present. When Alex couldn't afford to travel to certain tournaments because prize money from smaller events barely covered expenses, Marco found sponsors, calling in favors, making presentations, fighting for her. When she struggled with injuries that threatened to derail her progress, Marco adjusted her training, researched recovery protocols, found the right physiotherapist. When she lost confidence after a string of bad results, Marco rebuilt it brick by brick with patient encouragement and practical adjustments. They were a team, a real partnership built on mutual respect and shared goals. And over 3 years, Alex's ranking climbed steadily, from 300 to 200, from 200 to 150, from 150 to knocking on the door of the top 100. Every milestone, they celebrated together. Every setback, they analyzed together. Every decision about her career, they made together. And now she was one match away from the main draw of a Grand Slam. The dream they'd been chasing together for 3 years was within reach. The moment that would validate all the sacrifices, all the lonely nights in cheap hotels, all the early morning practices when her body screamed for rest. Marco had been with her every single step of this journey, through every high and every crushing low. The night before the qualifying final, they'd had their final preparation session. They sat in her modest hotel room, match footage playing on a laptop, going over the game plan with meticulous detail. Marco had scouted her opponent thoroughly, watched hours of her matches, knew her patterns like he knew his own heartbeat, identified her weaknesses and tendencies. He laid out the strategy with absolute clarity. Serve to her backhand, make her run. She doesn't like to be pulled wide. Stay patient in rallies. She'll make mistakes if you don't give her pace. You're the better player, Alex. You just need to execute what we've worked on. They drilled the tactics, role-playing different scenarios. What if she comes out aggressive? What if she starts serving big? What if the match gets tight in the third set? Marco had answers for everything. They visualized the key moments, the pressure points where matches are won and lost. Marco's voice was confident, certain, radiating belief. "You're ready for this," he told her, looking directly into her eyes. "I've seen you prepare. I've watched you grow. You're going to win tomorrow. Then you're in the main draw. Then everything changes. Everything we've worked for comes together." Alex felt the confidence radiating from him like warmth from a fire. She believed him. She trusted him completely. After 3 years together, his belief in her felt unshakable, like bedrock she could build on. Or so she thought. Before leaving her room, Marco put his hand on her shoulder, a gesture of affection and encouragement he'd done 1,000 times. "Get some rest. Big day tomorrow. I'll see you at the courts. We've got this." Alex smiled up at him, feeling grateful and blessed to have him in her corner. "Thanks, Marco. For everything. For believing in me." He nodded, gave her a reassuring pat, and left. That was the last time she saw him. The next morning, Alex woke up early, running through her matchday routine with practiced precision. Light breakfast, careful hydration, dynamic stretching to prepare her body, mental preparation to get her mind right. She felt nervous but ready, the good kind of nervous that sharpens focus rather than paralyzing you. She texted Marco at 8:30, their usual time for morning communication. "Good morning. See you at 10 for warm-up." No response. That was unusual. Marco was always responsive, usually replying within minutes. His phone was always on, always available for his players. But Alex didn't panic yet. Maybe his phone was charging. Maybe he was already at the courts and didn't have signal. Maybe he was getting breakfast and would respond in a few minutes. She arrived at the tennis center at 9:30, earlier than necessary, but she liked having extra time to settle her nerves and get comfortable in the environment. She looked around for Marco, scanning the coaching area, the player lounge, the practice courts. Didn't see him anywhere. She checked the coaching area more carefully. Not there. She texted again, trying to keep the anxiety out of her message. "I'm here. Where are you?" No response. Now the anxiety started creeping in, cold fingers of worry touching her spine. This wasn't like him. This wasn't normal. Marco was never late, never out of communication, never unpredictable. She called his phone, straight to voicemail. She called again, her hand trembling slightly. Voicemail. And again, desperation starting to edge her voice when she left a message. "Marco, it's me. Where are you? Match is in 2 hours. Please call me back." At 10 o'clock, her hitting partner arrived for the pre-match warm-up. He saw the concern on Alex's face immediately. "You okay? You look stressed." "Have you seen Marco?" Alex asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The hitting partner shook his head. "No, haven't seen him this morning. He's not here yet?" "No," Alex said, checking her phone again compulsively. "And he's not responding to texts or calls." "That's weird," the hitting partner said, stating the obvious. "Want me to help you look for him?" Alex tried to stay calm, tried to rationalize what might be happening. Maybe there was traffic. Maybe his phone died and he couldn't reach her. Maybe there was a family emergency and he was dealing with it and would show up any minute with an explanation that made perfect sense. At 10:15, she started her warm-up with the hitting partner, going through the motions mechanically. Forehands, backhands, volleys, serves, but her mind was elsewhere, fragmented, scattered. Where is he? Is he okay? Did something happen? Was there an accident? At 10:30, with her match now just an hour away, she approached the tournament desk, trying to control the panic rising in her chest. "Have you seen my coach, Marco Salazar?" The desk attendant, a friendly woman who'd checked them in all week, checked the credential list. "No, sorry, haven't seen him check in today. Want us to try calling him?" Alex gave them his number, watching as the attendant dialed, holding her breath, praying he'd answer. Voicemail. The attendant shrugged apologetically. "Sorry, can't reach him. Is everything okay? Do you need anything?" Alex felt panic truly rising now, threatening to overwhelm her. Her match was in 90 minutes. She needed her coach, needed his presence, his guidance, his support. Tennis at this level isn't just physical, it's deeply psychological, and walking onto that court without him felt impossible. She tried calling again, her hands shaking now. Voicemail. She sent desperate texts, no longer trying to hide her fear. "Marco, where are you? Are you okay? Please respond. Match is in 90 minutes. I need you here. Please." Nothing. Complete silence. The kind of silence that screams louder than words. And slowly, horribly, the reality started sinking in. He wasn't coming. For reasons she couldn't understand, couldn't process, couldn't accept, Marco wasn't going to be there for the biggest match of her life. At 11:30, Alex walked to the court alone. No coach, no explanation. Just confusion and a growing sense of abandonment that felt like drowning. She saw her opponent arriving with her coach, both of them relaxed and confident, laughing about something, discussing strategy. Alex felt the contrast like a physical blow. She was supposed to have that. She was supposed to have someone in her corner, but her coaching box would be empty. She tried to push it out of her mind, tried to access the mental toughness she developed over years of competition. Focus on the match. Focus on the game plan. Marco gave you the strategy last night. You know what to do. Just execute. You don't need him there to remember the plan. But tennis isn't played in a vacuum. The mental game matters enormously at this level. And walking onto that court without her coach felt like walking onto a battlefield without armor. exposed, vulnerable, utterly alone. The chair umpire called the players to their chairs for the pre-match meeting, going through the standard protocols. Alex sat there, glancing one more time at the empty coaching box, hoping against hope that maybe Marco would appear at the last second with some wild explanation. An accident that delayed him, a misunderstanding about timing, something, anything that made sense. But the box stayed empty. The umpire called time. The match was about to begin, and Alex was completely on her own. The first game Alex served. She went through her routine mechanically, muscle memory taking over. Toss, swing, follow through. But her mind wasn't fully present. Where is Marco? Why isn't he here? What happened? Did I do something wrong? She lost the first game quickly, then the second. Her opponent was playing well at executing her game plan, but Alex wasn't really competing. She was distracted, fragmented, emotionally unraveling. Between points, she'd glance at the coaching box, that empty chair mocking her, highlighting her abandonment. Her opponent's coach was active in the box, encouraging, giving tactical signals, shouting support. And Alex had silence. Empty, crushing silence. At the first changeover, she sat on her bench, towel over her head, trying desperately to collect herself. Focus. Just focus on the match. Forget Marco for now. You can deal with this later. Right now, you have a match to win. But she couldn't. The absence was too loud, too confusing, too painful. Every abandoned child's worst nightmare playing out on a tennis court in front of spectators and officials. She tried to remember the game plan from last night. Serve to the backhand, make her run, stay patient. But without Marco there to reinforce it, to adjust it mid-match, to guide her through the moments when it wasn't working, she felt completely lost. Tennis coaching isn't just about pre-match strategy. It's about real-time adjustments, emotional support, tactical pivots when the original plan isn't working. The match continued, and Alex's performance deteriorated steadily. Not because she was being outplayed tactically, but because she was emotionally destroyed. Every changeover, she sat alone with her thoughts, spiraling into darker and darker places. Did I do something wrong? Did I upset him somehow? Is he okay? Is he in a hospital? Is this about money? About our contract? Did he get a better offer? She tried to push the questions away and focus on tennis, on the ball, on the immediate moment. But they kept creeping back in, invasive thoughts that poisoned her concentration. Her opponent took the first set 6-2. It wasn't competitive. In the second set, Alex tried to rally, tried to find some internal strength, some reservoir of toughness that could carry her through. But at 3 games all during a crucial service game, she double faulted twice. Not because her technique failed, because her mind was shattered, because she couldn't focus, because the person she trusted most had abandoned her. She lost her serve, then lost the next game, then lost the set 6-4. Match over. Alex had lost the qualifying final, lost her chance at the main draw, lost the opportunity she'd been working toward for 3 years. But more than that, so much more than that, she'd lost while feeling completely abandoned by the person she trusted most in the world. She shook hands with her opponent, who said something kind that Alex didn't really hear through the fog of shock and pain. She walked off the court in a daze, barely aware of where she was going, operating on autopilot. In the locker room, finally alone, Alex checked her phone with trembling hands. Finally, there was a message from Marco, sent 30 minutes ago during her match, when she was fighting for her dream while he was typing words on a screen. She opened it, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Please let it be an emergency. Please let there be a good reason. Please let this make sense. The message read, Alex, I'm sorry I wasn't there today. I had to make a difficult decision. I've accepted a position with another player. The opportunity came up suddenly and they needed me to start immediately. I wish you all the best. You're a great player and you'll go far. Thanks for the 3 years, Marco. Alex read it once. Then again. Then a third time, hoping the words would somehow change, would somehow mean something different. But they didn't. The words didn't make sense. Or rather, they made perfect sense. And that was so much worse. Marco hadn't had an accident. There was no emergency. He was fine. He just left. Chose another player. Chose another opportunity. And didn't even have the decency to tell her in person. Didn't have the basic human respect to tell her before the match. Just sent a text mid-match like she was a colleague he was leaving with 2 weeks' notice. Except he didn't even give her 2 weeks. He gave her nothing. No warning, no conversation, no chance to prepare. Alex sat there, phone in hand, reading the message over and over, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. This wasn't about the match anymore. This wasn't about qualifying for a Grand Slam. This was about betrayal on the deepest level. About 3 years of trust shattered in a single moment. About a relationship she thought was built on loyalty revealed to be just business, just transaction, just conditional. She wanted to throw her phone against the wall, wanted to scream until her throat was raw, wanted to call him and demand a real explanation, demand to know how he could do this to her. But she just sat there crying, feeling utterly, completely alone in a way she'd never felt before. Eventually, she pulled herself together enough to leave the locker room, though her eyes were red and her hands still shook. The tournament was over for her anyway. She walked through the player area seeing other players with their coaches, other teams celebrating qualifying wins or consoling qualifying losses. And she felt like a ghost, invisible, abandoned, carrying pain no one else could see. She went back to her hotel room and finally allowed herself to completely break down, sobbing into her pillow, grieving not just the lost match, but the lost relationship, the lost trust, the lost belief that loyalty meant something. The full story emerged over the next few days through the tennis community's relentless gossip network. Through whispered conversations in player lounges and messages from concerned friends, Alex learned the details Marco had conveniently omitted from his cowardly text message. The other player was a 17-year-old from an extremely wealthy family. They'd been searching for a coach and had been impressed by Alex's recent results, ironically. They approached Marco a week ago, around the same time he was preparing Alex for the qualifier, and offered him everything he didn't have with Alex. Double the salary. Better travel conditions with first-class flights instead of economy. 5-star hotels instead of budget chains. A multi-year contract with guaranteed money regardless of the player's results. Financial security he'd never had.